Today we're going to be doing our Math 5 lesson. It is our Friday lesson, lesson 133. Yesterday we talked about area and surface area, which was the measurement of the total around the outside, the area around the outside, as if we were covering a box with carpet, if you remember. Well, today we're going to be talking about volume, which is how much can the box hold? How much sand can go inside? How much water can go inside? So we want to know how much the box can hold. In this case, when we work with area, we work with flat squares, don't we? To see how many of our squares we need to cover the outside of the shape. Now, when we work with volume, like we're going to today, we want to work with cubes because we want to fill up the shape. Okay, so if I had a big rectangular prism, and I wanted to see what it would hold or what the volume is, I would use a cube because a cube would fill up more space. What if I had to stack flat squares? That would take hours and hours to fill that up because they don't have any 3D volume to them. So we're going to use a cube instead of using a square. Now we're still going to use, this is going to be 1 cubic unit, okay? Or we would say 1 square unit here. And this is cubic, and cubic actually means 3. And the reason we're using cubic is because we have some different shapes. We have a length, we have a width. So if you can notice that square on the bottom, we have a length and a width. And then we also have a height. So we have 3 measurements that we need to use, and that's why we use a cube or a cubic unit. Okay? So when we get done, we will be saying centimeters cubed is our answer, or units cubed. But instead of using the squared sign, we'll be using the cube sign to show that we filled our 3D object up with cubes. Okay? So I could just take and start stacking my cubes inside to see. It makes me think of almost dominoes, even though dominoes aren't cubed. Filling up the tin can, how many rows and how many stacks do you need? Okay, or I can find volume by measuring the length times the width times the height. I can multiply the 3 components that we have to find it. So if I had a box, and let's just say this side was 4 feet going up, and this was 8 feet going across, and this was 2 feet in width. So if we had our 3 measurements, how we would find the volume is we would say 8 times 4 times 2. Well, 8 times 4 is 32, and 32 times 2 is 64 feet cubed. So what I'm saying is that 64 of my cubes would be needed to fill this box up to find the volume. And I hope you remember volume from previous years. Okay, so let's go over some reminders. Perimeter is when I add up the distance around the outside. Remember the word rim. So if I'm finding perimeter, I'm measuring around the outside. If I'm finding area, I'm using flat squares to cover the outside of a shape, whether it be flat or a 3D shape. When I find volume, I want to fill it up. And there are some reminders on the back of your page, 334, up at the top. Okay? And so they'll be asking you questions. Do we want to find perimeter, area, surface area, or volume? Okay? Make sure you Marco Polo me if you have any questions.